Well, I grew up on Strathcona Street, right across the prairie from Omens Creek, the old golf course, and right across the way from the old Winnipeg Arena and the old Isaac Brock outdoor lacrosse and hockey rink. At that time, yeah, baseball was, the biggest sport we played, and then the hockey, and we played some football and basketball, but it was hockey and baseball that most of our time was spent playing sports. I've always said I was so lucky coming from the Isaac Brock area. We had good parents. We had great coaches like Jake Epp and Donnie McKenzie and so many good guys, Lou McPhillips, that all took, time to teach us. And our old community club, there's always parents around that we could skate late at night. And we were very lucky. I've always felt at Isaac Brock, we had a good surround of good parents and good buddies. Well, I wouldn't even know, I guess 4 or 5, but we were always playing outside with the old catalogs in your socks with the jar rings holding them up, pretending you're Montreal or Toronto Maple Leaf. And my first skating came on the street, on Strathcona Street. There was better ice there than some of the rinks we skated on over the years. Then you just skated from Strathcona Street over to Telford, and you skated. You skated on Omens Creek, you just skated. Nobody taught you anything. Organized would have been at Isaac Brock, and that was Pee Wee hockey, and that was the first years that basically the guys who taught me were Donnie McKenzie and Donnie Van Buren, or maybe I used to think they were so old. Now I find out they're only a couple of years older than I am, but they were former pro hockey players that helped us around the community club. So it was Isaac Brock that I played all my minor hockey at. Playground C, yeah, we all had, it was Pee Wee, Playground C, and Bantam. We never had enough guys for midgets, so we all had to jump to juvenile, but it was all through Isaac Brock and Greater Winnipeg hockey. Oh, I'll be very honest, I had outstanding hands. I could skate like the wind, and I could score goals like you couldn't believe. I have no idea how you end up there. You go out there and you just start skating, and how I ended up to be a forward defenseman, I guess I could skate or something like that, and that's a great question. Why? I started off as a centerman. When I got to the National Hockey League, I was a left winger, but I played center right up to my first year of junior hockey. So how I ended up as a forward, I don't know. How we picked the teams in those times, but I was always a forward. Yeah, very important in my life. Like I say, for us, all my buddies, I grew up in Isaac Brock, like a lot of people, that we skated on weekends. We skated in the dark. We played ball hockey, and we were on that ice all the time. So I remember vividly. I remember playing for the City of Winnipeg Championship. I remember playing for Booster Night, which against Grand Forks. We were lucky. We had good teams in hockey and baseball, same group of guys and good coaching. So we went in the City of Winnipeg. We played a lot of minor hockey, and it was a big part of our lives. It was plastic, basically. I mean, you had the old soft-toed skates. If you ever got a puck in the toe, you had to, your toe would bend in. You'd have to get a puck in there to get the dent out of your skate. And then, we never had jock straps, and we never had garter belts, and elbow pads were unheard of type of thing. So now if I look at it, it was terrible equipment, but to us, it was the best thing in the world. Well, we had Donnie McKenzie, Donnie Van Buren, Lou McPhillips. Jake Epps was instrumental for a lot of us to play sports because he scouted for Boss, and I'm sure we'll get into that after. And so, but it was the young guys that there was a guy named Heck Oliver that helped us out, and so those are the big guys I remember because the competitive hockey, it was McKenzie and Van Buren. I can name almost every one of my line mates, Al Yoshino and Barry Epps and Al Ahoff and Tommy Freeman played there. Big Pete Hallock. We had a lot of guys that we played both sports, hockey and baseball. So we're always on the same teams for hockey and baseball. Then when you got a little older, they started to separate out by age. Because Isaac Brock was lucky; they had Jimmy Walker as a coach and Tommy Patterson, and that's where you had Ronnie McKenzie and Roger Van Buren and Bruce Jackson, and they went to the Manitoba Championships. Jimmy Walker was an outstanding coach, as was Tommy. So, we were separated about a year apart at that time. Well, I think Tommy Freeman he was a Ranger draft. He went down east, just didn't work for him. I played with a couple of guys, Steve Yoshino, that ended up going to Michigan Tech. He could have played pro, but he was foolish enough to get an engineering degree and became a millionaire by running San Francisco City and Winnipeg City. So, yeah, so a lot of guys. At that time, it was a break. Somebody had to take a liking to you, but there was a lot of good hockey players that, could outperform me. But I grew up across the street from the Stratton boys, and Art and Gordy, and Brucey Stratton was an outstanding hockey player. Just never had a chance to go anywhere. Oh, yeah, Orioles, that was, was big, and then CUAC, CPAC, then Bronx Park. Especially when you started getting a little older, you started bumping into these guys, Luxton, and I still remember the Harry Prices. I remember the Gord Arsenays and guys from other districts. We were always scared of the guys. And then West End Memorials. You had Peter Stemkowski and Jim Sawicki and Orioles. I mean, Orioles had great hockey clubs, and so. But I always remember when we played against the CPAC, CUACs, the Bronx. We were a little intimidated by them, but we played good hockey against them also. Yeah, we won the city championship for playground. We won what they called Booster Night at that time to represent Winnipeg. We played against Grand Forks at the Winnipeg Arena in front of 7,000 or 8,000 people. And that was exciting because Grand Forks came out here and they had guys who were 1 or 2 years older than us. And at the banquet, they come in, most of them shaved. And we were just so intimidated, we didn't want to go on the ice. I always remember a goaltender of ours, Gary Thornton, said a prayer for us before the game. We never heard of prayers, but when we skated out against them, they were so big, we realized, thank goodness we prayed for ourselves because we could get hurt out here. So